Hello and welcome to your Daily Detroit for Wednesday, September 3rd, 2025. You know, I think that voting is a fundamental part of democracy, but to many, it feels like our choices are limited. It's one or the other. The system in Michigan and much of America is set up that way. Pardon my opinion here, but often to me, it feels like the illusion of choice. Either the major parties have a choice they've lined up behind who we need to salute, or big money special interests have stacked the deck. And I'm sorry to many of my friends involved in politics, but this is rampant on both sides of the aisle. Because I know these forces want to influence me and you for their own goals, the ballot I cast is something that I think about. It's one of our most important civic duties. To open up those options, and this is used in various places around the country, there is the concept of ranked choice voting. So we could accurately reflect how voters feel, ranking their favorite candidates or none at all. But in Michigan, some changes need to be made, and that would require people's signatures, then action at the ballot box. That's where RankMiVote comes in. They are looking to make ranked choice voting possible in Michigan. As always, your thoughts are welcome. dailydetroit@gmail.com or 313-789-3211. And as a reminder, our project is brought to you by you. This is not a sponsored segment. We are supported by our members on Patreon. We might not always agree, but you know I'll analyze the news and connect you with what's happening fun around town without fear or favor, and I'm not paid for by political parties or special interests. Daily Detroit works for you, but the thing only works if you step up at patreon.com/dailydetroit. Let's hop into that discussion about ranked choice voting. Joining me here at the studio at TechTown is Pat Zabawa, the Executive Director of RankMiVote, a grassroots movement that's looking to change how we participate in elections, and they say to help widen how people are involved and how they can get involved. So, Pat, welcome to Daily Detroit.
Thank you so much, Jared. I'm so excited to be here and speak before your audience and all the Michiganders excited about empowering voters.
Yeah, you know, as far as the politically nerdy section of my audience, they're very excited about ranked choice voting. There's something where they feel like they don't get enough selection when it comes to primaries, anything else. We have elections recently with a lot of candidates. People don't necessarily hate all their options. They'd like to have better choices, but that's not allowed for in this state right now because a lot of our stuff is what's called first past the post voting, where this is what everyone knows right now, right? Where it's like you got to get the most votes, but that doesn't mean that you get the majority of votes. So, Pat, with RankMiVote, what are you all trying to do? What is the point of your campaign?
RankMiVote is collecting signatures to put a constitutional amendment on the November of 2026 ballot. And that initiative, that constitutional amendment, will put ranked choice voting into Michigan's constitution for major offices and allow its expansion to other offices and local offices as well.
Now, we've seen some national examples of this. Are there some municipalities in Michigan that have adopted ranked choice voting?
In Michigan, the city of Ferndale voted to utilize ranked choice voting. Since RankMiVote started, we ran campaigns in Ann Arbor in 2021, East Lansing, Kalamazoo, and Royal Oak, all of which won and succeeded. Voters there choosing to utilize ranked choice voting. Now, at the state level, the Bureau of Elections has interpreted current statute to mean that those cities cannot run ranked choice voting elections, even though it was used in Michigan in the 70s and before. So right now, those cities, even though they have ranked choice voting on the books, are not allowed to use it. That's one of the things that our constitutional amendment resolves. It ensures that those cities and the voters there have the right to utilize ranked choice voting as they so choose.
So for those who don't know, what is ranked choice voting? How does it work?
In a ranked choice voting election, voters can rank candidates by order of preference. You as a voter can rank your favorite candidate number one, your next number two, and so on. That way your vote always counts, even if your favorite candidate is a long shot candidate.
One of the things I hear from a lot of people is say, hey, you know, why should I even participate? Because my views aren't going to be reflected by any of the major candidates running. Do you think that this helps maybe include more of those people?
Absolutely. And we see that in elections that are run under ranked choice voting around the United States. So what you're mentioning here is the fact that ranked choice voting gives voters more choice, more voice, and more power to express their preferences. Right now, voters may feel compelled to vote only for popular candidates, whereas under ranked choice voting, voters can feel free to rank their preferences, even if their first choice might not be that popular of a candidate. They can freely express their preferences. And we see, therefore, in races that utilize ranked choice voting around the United States, high turnout. In New York City, where ranked choice voting has been used in the last 2 cycles, we saw 30-year voter turnout records.
Okay, so people who watch the live stream will know that there is a bird on our table. His name is Fezzi. Let's assume Fezzi is a voter, okay? If Fezzi waddles or flies or flaps over to the voting box, the voting booth, what does Fezzi do under ranked choice voting?
Right now, a voter sees a list of candidates and they get one selection. Under ranked choice voting, there's additional columns. They will see a bulleted list of first rankings like they do today. They can select one candidate, but under ranked choice voting, that selection is their first ranking, their first choice, their favorite. Under ranked choice voting, then there's additional columns where a voter can rank their second choice candidate, and so on, as many or few rankings, preferences as the voter prefers.
So they don't have to rank everybody. They could just rank the people that they resonate with most. Now, when that gets counted, how does that work? So let's get those ballots in. The clerk does their work. How does that work?
The important thing to note about ranked choice voting is rankings are taken into account until a candidate with 50% or more of voter support is found. So walking through it, if first rankings, a candidate has received 50% or more of voter support, then they're declared the winner. If not, then the candidate with the fewest first rankings, with the fewest first choices, is eliminated, and the voters who voted for that candidate, their second choice, their second ranking, is taken into account. This process repeats until a candidate with 50% or more of voter support is found.
Now, does this significantly increase the amount of time it takes to count these votes? Is there how does this come together?
Right now, votes are instantly tabulated, and it's the same way under ranked choice voting, where computers utilize the process immediately.
They scan the ballots, and then they can do the math, which then you can also follow up with a hand count if you needed to.
Exactly. Just like today, there's instant computer scanning and manual verification that happens. The same thing under ranked choice voting, where there's instant computer scanning, we see the unofficial results, and manual recounts and manual tabulation can be done. It's important to note that in Ireland, they've used ranked choice voting for over 100 years, and before computers, where they actually manually stack the ballots in order to calculate the results. Ranked choice voting is simple for voters to vote for, to utilize, and then simple to tabulate.
So one of the criticisms I've heard about ranked choice voting in the past, and to be clear, and this is my own editorial, it is almost always from people currently in office, is that it's too complicated, that people can't handle it. How do you feel about that? Because they will make the argument that it's hard enough to get somebody out to vote. Giving them all of these choices will be overwhelming.
The great thing about ranked choice voting in the United States is that we have data on it. It's used by over 13 million Americans in the United States. And repeatedly, we find that voters say that it's simple. They like using it, they want to keep using it, and they want to expand its use. Here, it's used statewide in Maine and Alaska. New York City is the biggest jurisdiction that uses it. And in the most recent mayoral primary elections, over 96% of voters said that it was simple and easy to use. And that's across all demographic groups, across all ethnicities. 94% or above of all demographic groups responded that ranked choice voting was simple and easy to use.
So, Pat, how did you get into this? Because this really does, like the communications I've gotten, the interests I've gotten, it feels different than some of the ballot initiatives in the past. And one of the reasons I said grassroots at the top is because, like, I'm used to seeing the difference between grassroots and astroturfing. I can smell it from a mile away. It seems like this is something that you're actually passionate about. So how did you get into ranked choice voting, and how did you end up becoming executive director of this?
RankMiVote actually was founded in 2019 from volunteers. Volunteers got together after Voters Not Politicians anti-gerrymandering effort was successful, got together and thought, what's the next way we can empower voters? They thought ranked choice voting was the way. I was not part of that founding group, but joined soon after when I first heard about that movement. My background is as a software developer. I was always involved in charitable activities and making sure that I'm making effort to make the world better, but I was not involved in partisan politics at all before hearing about RankMiVote and ranked choice voting. When I heard about it, I thought this resolves so many things at once: empowering voters, lessening the negative campaigning that we're seeing that's tearing our country apart, that's tearing our state apart, making sure that we're well represented by candidates who've won with 50% or more voter support. I joined as a volunteer and was asked, like in a lot of grassroots efforts, to do more. Can you step up and do communications? Can you step up and be assistant executive director? And then this year asked to be executive director. And I said, yes, I care about this movement. I care about empowering voters in the face of this environment where so many voters are feeling frustrated and leaving the electoral process. It's important to me to make sure that people feel like there's a better way.
Not coming from partisan politics, I talked to a lot of politicians, okay? What have you learned since like 2019 to now? Because you're coming into this, you weren't in the Democratic world or Republican world or whatever party world. This has got to be something for you. What have you learned and what have you picked up in this personally?
There's two aspects of the campaign that I love. First, I do want to talk about the grassroots nature and just meeting people on the ground. It's great to meet people who you run into who are so excited about making the state of our politics and the politics of our state better, where you'll run into them outside of FedEx and then they'll call over their friends and they'll take you to this coffee shop and say, these people here want to sign too. It's great to see that energy on the ground. Now, the interesting thing about getting into politics that I've seen from coming from the outside is so much of politics is broken down into communities. So we're used to thinking, I think, as politics consumers, people who consume political news, that it's just the major parties that are doing things. But there's so many communities, smaller political organizations on the ground around the state doing maybe environmental work, maybe voters' rights work, maybe just trying to improve the politics of their city. There's a lot of activity going on that we don't see in the political statewide news as political news consumers. And it's great to see that, but it's also a lot of work, of course, to communicate with those groups and bring everyone together to make our state better.
So you are part of RankMiVote. What is the goal of what you're trying to do? Let's lay it out for people specifically. RankMiVote is trying to do a constitutional amendment, correct? What's underway right now? What's your ask of the listeners?
RankMiVote is collecting signatures to put a constitutional amendment to implement ranked choice voting in Michigan on the November of 2026 ballot. We started collecting signatures last month in July. Our ask of listeners, of the audience, is to join us in collecting signatures. You can join at RankMiVote, rankmivote.org. On our homepage, you can find out where to sign and how to sign up as a volunteer and donate and support our campaign. That's what we're asking Michiganders to do. It's a lot of fun. There's a lot of people in our movement who are new to organizing. I was just at the Michigan State Fair yesterday. All of us volunteers there, this was our first political involvement. This campaign's our first political involvement. So it's great to see how our campaign is pulling in new people who haven't been involved in politics before. But it's a really fun campaign. When we talk to people on the streets, they want to hear about how they can be empowered. I think we're sharing stories internally about how when we're asking people to sign our petition, they'll be walking by and their natural inclination is to say, oh, no, thanks. I've got other things to do. But then they'll turn around. Then they'll be like, wait a minute here. This is something intriguing. This is about voting. This is about empowering voters, and they'll come back and sign. So it's a really fun campaign to join.
Yeah, and I think one of those resistance points to folks, and I feel it myself times, where I've seen ballot initiatives where like the words are squirrely, where it's like, well, is it supposed to do this or not supposed to do this, right? Like a lot of groups will try to be indirect with it, and you're pretty direct with what you're asking for with this. So, and I appreciate that. How many signatures? I know that all campaigns try to get more than this, but do you happen to know offhand how many signatures the law prescribes that you need at least to get this done?
Yep, it's about 445,000. It's 10% of the last gubernatorial election by law.
Okay. Well, if people want to support you, again, where can they go?
RankMiVote, rankmivote.org.
All right. Well, Pat Zabawa, Executive Director of RankMiVote, thank you so much for stopping by our studio at TechTown. I really appreciate you.
Thank you, Jared. It's an honor to speak before you and your audience. I love that your audience so cares about our community and our state, and so we're excited to connect with them and invite them to join our campaign.
Thanks so much for listening. The best thing you can do to help us is tell a friend about the show. Send someone an email that you enjoy Daily Detroit, and they should think about listening too. Until tomorrow, I'm Jared Stays. Remember that you are somebody, and I'll see you around Detroit.